Hi y'all, Jeff here with Jeff's Cars and Garage, and welcome back to another video. And so, as you see, the 350 SL is up in the air, and Jose has, he's got it to where that took him about 3 hours to get some of those parts and things off, and so when he comes back out this next weekend, he'll be working on this. Most of the bushings were bad, and so and because they've been on there for 50 plus years, it was quite the challenge. So, but he's got a handle on it now. He did some research, and oh goodness, got a little dirt here on the car. He did a little research and found that this would be an expensive job. Should it be done by a shop, and they would charge somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,200 a side to do it. It takes about 4 hours ish or so, and that's probably including the parts. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today, and I'm not talk about this car. But what I am here to talk about, and I'm not going to go deep into the political side of things, but I do want to, viewers out there, and this will be a controversial subject for some of you. What's going to happen to the used car prices now, and what's happening right now with the tariffs and things like that? But I will say this: I've been my wife and I diligently follow Marketplace. We're always looking for, that next car or that next project or something. If it's kind of cool, would it be worth buying? And kind of like this one here. Now, was this worth buying? I've got a lot of money tied up in this car, and continuing to put more money into it. Now, once the the front steering and suspension is done, am I still gonna be all right in the car? No, but it'll be a fun car to have and drive around, and maybe take to a show. And is it perfect? No, and it was never intended to be. As at least I wanted it as best as I could get it, but I wasn't going to spend $10,000 going through and fixing, and restoring it to have an $8,000 or $7,000 car. So, is it going to be worth $7,000? I don't know. It's all in what the buyer, whoever the buyer is, which is where I'm at. And so, right now, I have been seeing a lot of both barn find cars now coming out on Marketplace. People clearing out their barns and things like that to get, maybe they need some cash. Maybe times are tough enough that I better be careful because this is on just a jack. Well, he's got a jack stand down there too. Sorry, kind of squirreled away there. People are. I'm seeing things that normally I wouldn't see. And I'm taking kind of the Midwest. I take a 250 mile circumference of where I'm at, and then I'll take a 250 mile circumference of, say, I'll either pick Joplin, Missouri or Wichita, Kansas, and then I'll take a 250 mile circumference in North Platte, Nebraska or Denver. And I'm looking at, and of course, I'll look for Mercedes. That's the first thing I'll look for is Mercedes. And I'm seeing a lot of cars out there for sale, and they're staying on Marketplace a long time, much like my 300 SE. I've posted it up. I thought was a reasonable price for what it is. I mean, it still has a fuel delivery issue. It does start and it does run, and it will drive around the block. Will it get up to 50 or 60 miles an hour? I've not tried it. I still think I'm going to have to get a better, or another fuel accumulator and get the Bosch one. But at this point, I'm over it, and so, it's selling it as a kind of a project, but it's in respectably good shape. Now, am I going to give it away? I had somebody offer me, $2,000. I said, split the difference. I'm asking 3,200. He said, I'm offering 2,000. One of those, I'll give you 2,000. And I replied back, split the difference right in the middle, 2,600. You be here by 5 o'clock the next day with your trailer, and you can have it. Well, he didn't reply back, so it was kind of a bogus thing. So, and he was from up in Minnesota someplace. I didn't think maybe I kind of profile stalked him. I didn't think he was going to bite on it anyway, so didn't think he was serious. But do I need the money? Yeah, I need to. I want to take that car off my insurance rolls. I want to put this one on my insurance roll. The next car I may be ready to sell is my 300SD, but I got to do one thing. I've got to fix the cluster, the interior cluster lights, which would be the lights for the power windows and so on and so forth. It needs a rheostat, but I'm going to do the temporary fix, pull the cluster and solder a wire across the rheostat connections and clean it up, maybe put some new light bulbs in it and put it back in. And that's the only other thing I'm going to do, because that car will get in it. You could get in it, drive it, and it'll be just fine. But it's worth, because it's rust free under the undercarriage, it's probably worth $400 to $4,500, maybe $4,800. If I put it on Marketplace, I don't think I'm going to get that. 6-8 months ago, last fall, I would have gotten probably $6,000 out of it, because the demand for a good 5-cylinder Mercedes diesel is there. I mean, the only thing it needs is just kind of sand it down and maybe shoot a quick cut, of the same color, and then clear coat, and it'll be a respectable car. The interior is in good shape. It does now have a crack in the dash, which it didn't have. But, it would have been a respectable car, a reliable car. Is it perfect? No, but is it in great shape? Yes, it is. And I've been driving it. I'll run, to the other side of town with the car. I'll pull up to the little discount store. We'll call it DG, because that's what it is. And I'll just leave the car sit there and let that diesel engine just run. Doesn't overheat, nothing. There's no problem. It should be one I keep. But I think it would be better in somebody else's hands that they would actually use it. So, but what's going to happen moving forward with inexpensive cars? My prediction is that the cars are going to get cheaper, but they're going to sit there for a little bit longer, longer period of time to get sold. The ones that are desirable, Mustangs, Camaros, things like that, they may sell a little quicker, especially some of the barn find ones from the mid to late 70s. They'll probably be sold quicker. For example, yesterday I found, and it's been on Marketplace for almost 2-3 weeks, a Pontiac Sunbird convertible with the turbo V6 engine in it, which is kind of rare. It's been on for 2 weeks, and I only wanted $2,000 for it. Runs and drives, and the convertible top was in good shape. Why is it there for so long? I mean, I think that'd be kind of a fun car to have, just for the sake of having a spare car, or a summertime car. So it's going to be tricky. And with the tariffs and with the trade wars and all this stupid stuff that's going on in Washington, I took some notes today. Just kind of did a little digging, and we know prices are going to go up on new cars. We know that. I mean, you could turn on any news channel, and with the parts and pieces that are put in and where they're coming from, new cars are going to go up. Whether they're American made, Japanese made, made in England, made in Germany, regardless of the brand, they're going to go up. Most of them, but the most of them that are made in the United States, and Toyota has cars that are made here. GM has obviously cars, and so on and so forth. So this is just an example of where you and I, the consumer, is going to be paying. And here's something else, and I'll get to it in a minute, of what is going to happen to trade-in values. Right now, March pricing. This is back in March. Brand new 2025 Tahoe, Chevrolet Tahoe, moderately equipped. I mean, this is not the high end, not the LTZ with all the fancies on it. The average price is $51,691. 10% tariff is going to add about $5,200 on top of that. So now that Tahoe just became a $56,000 vehicle. Let's take another one here. A brand new F-150. The average price of an F-150 is $41,483, and that's a pretty limited equipped one. That's $41,483. 10%, and that's another $4,100. So now you're at $45,000. Chevy 1500, $39,500. Add 10%, that's another $3,950. Now you're over $42,000. Ram 3,800, 38,784, and that's a Ram 1500 with the basic motor in it. Add 10%, that's another $3,800. Let's go down to a small SUV, Ford Edge, $24,898 is the March average price. Add 10%, that's another $2,489. So now you're at $26,000 and change, almost you're about $27,000 actually. Paying, 10% more for a vehicle. Now, a lot of the manufacturers, and you hear it, I mean, and Ford's been advertising their spring event. I don't know if it's truck event, and with the redhead, and that's the spokesperson, and there's some incentives and things like that. Let's think about that for a second, folks. Okay, let's take that Tahoe. Let's just take the Chevy 1500. Okay, and that's just the basic pickup. All right, now $39,000, but the incentives are, say, for the LT or the LTZ. So now you're at $48,000 plus 10%, another $4,000, you're at $53,000, and they are giving you a $2,000 cash incentive. The manufacturer is. You're still paying more than the original list was back in February, March. Okay? And now the average payment in the United States for a vehicle, at least in the Midwest, I don't know what I'm talking, California and New York and the east and west coast are probably higher, but the average payment for a vehicle payment today is $765 a month. $765 per month. The average vehicle payment. And you're going to pay on that thing for 6, 7, and now you could get financing, I'm sure, for 8 years. You want a new pickup or a new Tahoe or a new a Suburban that you're going to pay $75,000 to $100,000, and now you're paying $1,200 or $1,400 a month. That's getting into a lot of money. Thanks, 10% tariffs. Now, let's talk about trade-in value. And first of all, lease payments. Lease payments. I heard an advertisement for a Lincoln Aviator. The lease payment with $5,000 down, lease payment $1,099 a month for a Lincoln Aviator. You know, the finance companies, that what they are doing is they're accounting for, especially on leases, that residual after 2 or 3 years, and I think that lease was a 3-year lease, that they're anticipating that vehicle to lose 50% of its value. 50% of its value. Folks, you're going to be upside down. You buy a brand new vehicle. Mark my words, unless you put 20% down, you will be upside down in that vehicle in 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. You will never get out of that vehicle until you nearly pay that thing off. You're going to be married to that vehicle. That's why there are a lot of vehicles now sitting at the Manheim auctions, the Coparts, the IAAs that are repossessed. And those auctions, and I don't know if you follow some of the other ones that walk through them, those auctions and those banks and the finance companies and the insurance companies are trying to recover as much of that vehicle as they possibly can, especially the accident ones. The insurance companies are always going to try and recover as much, but the banks that are sending those cars to that auction are hoping dealers will pay more. Well, guess what? Dealers are not paying more. They're not buying cars. If they are and they're loading up their lots, they're nuts. They are literally nuts. So right now, we're in a pickle. Okay? Marketplace and Craigslist and all these avenues. If you want a good, reliable car, you're going to pay a little bit more for it. It's also going to cost you more to finance it because the interest rates are not coming down. In fact, they're going back up. They're going up a little bit because when you're in an economic downturn, the interest rates go up. Yeah, economic downturn, the interest rate goes up. When the economy is supposed to go up and get better, the interest rates are supposed to go lower. Well, interest rates are not going lower. So in the automotive industry, you're paying more. You're going to pay more. Now let's flip this to the recreational vehicle industry. You know, I did a recent video regarding, service and warranty and so on and so forth. All of a sudden, it popped up on my my Facebook feeds that you can now rent to own without a credit check an RV. Sounds kind of fishy to me, but you know what? There are RVs out there that people have let go, and there are holding companies that have these things that they've got to liquidate them. Is that a smart thing? Well, for the liquidator, yes, because you know what? They can still go repo it and come back and get it again. But you're going to pay a fortune for it. So not a smart idea if you're seeing that as well. So, folks, I just want to, sorry for the rant, but I just want to be, hopefully inform everybody that maybe it's better to look into a 7 to 10-year-old car and, maybe pay a little bit less and maybe put a little bit into it to fix it up to keep it on the road. The problem is most people today, if you're, I would say probably more than 50, maybe closer to 60, 65% of the people that are under the age of 35 don't know how to turn a wrench on a car. And that's a problem because they can't fix anything. It's going to cost them 3 times more to have a shop do it, and getting it in there to get it fixed is going to take a long time in a lot of cases in a lot of parts of the country, because a lot of people have already started doing that. So fortunately, could I have done what Jose is doing here? Yeah, it'd taken me a little longer. For me to sit down on the ground and do that. Yeah, I probably could. I'd have gotten frustrated and maybe gave up for a while. But fortunately, I have Jose, and because he is my daughter's boyfriend, and he's learning. He says, man, he said, I like working on these older cars. He said, the simplicity of them. He said, I don't have to plug a computer into it. He said, Jeff, he said, you're right. Listen to it. It will tell you what's wrong with it. And sure enough, I isolated down where the problems were, and sure enough, it's getting fixed. But is this going to be a daily driver? Should it be a daily driver? No, this is a toy because this is kind of a collectible car. But the 300 SE, yes, it could be a daily driver. The 300 SD, yes, a daily driver. My 280 SEL 4.5, no, it's more of the collectible because it's now over 50 years old. My 300 SL, which I'm going to have another video coming up on that because I did a little research, and thanks to I like to call him Uncle Ken, but Ken from Mercedes Source. I'm going to do some other troubleshooting on that because I don't think I may have the head gasket issue that I think I do. I may have something else going on that will be a little bit simpler or cheaper to fix. So more to come on that. But folks, be aware with the tariffs, the interest rates, the car prices, you're going to be buried. You will be buried in that car unless you have a lot of cash that you're putting down, so that when you go to trade that off in 3 to 5 years, you won't be as far upside down. Or if you do engage into those $700 to $900 or $1,000 a month payments, you're going to need to pay more in order to bring that principal balance down faster, so that you have something, you have at least some equity in that car in order to in order to trade it in that 3 to 5 years. So, which brings one last subject: gap insurance. Well, if you know and you believe you're going to be upside down, might be a good idea to also put gap insurance on your purchase, because if you happen to have an accident, you're liable for the difference between what the vehicle is worth and what the insurance company pays out. You're liable for that balance difference. So keep that in mind. Words from an old guy here. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you enjoy this video or enjoy my rants, put comments down below. Be constructive. Don't be mean. We want to be nice to our fellow neighbors. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.